Alright, if you're just joining us, this is Game 2 of a best of 3 between Orange and LGD International in the Dota 2 Super League. Last game, LGD International won a very convincing Game 1 against Orange. Orange went for the Chaos Knight Wisp, and LGD International went for a strong team fight lineup, and they did not falter. They rotated really well, they stuck together, and Orange, over and over again, overextended, just way too often. It was pretty even for most of the game. So I shouldn't say it was very convincing, but it was a great game, and really good play particularly from LG International. I felt like Orange was not at their best, and they got baited into a number of fights. Either baited or were overly zealous for a few fights that they didn't have to take. Nonetheless, I have confidence that Orange will learn from their mistakes and come back for a strong Game 2. The bans right off the bat are we've got a Bat Rider, a Nyx Assassin, and a Life Stealer. Still pretty standard bans. Teams have not decided on anything that's overpowered in the 6.78 patch, and this is from Friday, and the picks have been evolving very fast. So, still fairly standard bans. Shadow Demon also still seeing bans. His nerf in 6.78 was, I think it was just right. I don't think Shadow Demon is too overpowered. He is certainly quite good, but I think getting rid of the vision provided from Shadow Poison was a good way of just subtly bringing him down a little bit, because it was an unnecessary attachment to an already very strong ability. And it's interesting because the Shadow Poison is not what makes Shadow Demon such a strong hero. It's mostly the Disruption and the Soul Catcher. Soul Catcher providing great burst, and Disruption being a good carry booster and an anti-carry tool, as well as good lockdown and setup stun for many other forms of stuns and initiation. Orange, they're picking up the Gyrocopter this game. It seems that the Eastern scene has completely embraced Gyrocopter at this point. Even as recently as a month ago, it seemed like the teams were still not interested in Gyrocopter. I guess I should probably be a little less conservative and say 2 months ago. Gyrocopter was still a Western pick at that point, but the way things are now, Gyrocopter is a top tier pick all across the world. So Orange picking it up this time, and LGD once more picking up the Alchemist, but this time picking up a Darkseer to go along with it. Darkseer did see one nerf in 6.78, just increasing the cooldown on Vacuum yet more. It's hard to believe how powerful it was back in the 6.74 days. Just so ridiculous. Had a much larger AoE, it worked on invulnerable units, the cooldown was about half of what it is right now. It might even be more than that. I think it was 11, maybe 14 seconds back then. But it's cool to see that he's still a strong pick, but he's not getting first picked every single game, because it does get a little old to see Darkseer. He is one of the more dynamic heroes, but now he seems to be just more of a reliable pick than a must-have. Visage, meanwhile, has been getting first picked and first banned in game after game. I think this is a reflection of how comfortable teams are becoming with the hero. The familiars are one of those abilities that provide infinite potential. If you're using the familiars for their pushing power and their ganking ability and their scouting, and then their stun, the chain stun is fantastic as well. You're getting so much out of just one skill. They're almost like getting a second hero as a support, which is fantastic. And all of his other abilities are great too. Gravekeeper's Cloak is probably the weakest of them all, and it's still not bad. Grave Chill is a good chasing ability and escape for Visage. And Soul Assumption, great burst damage in the laning phase. And if you get the mana pool, good sustained burst. I guess that's a bit of a contradiction there. Sustained burst, but he can during a long team fight, he can continually pump out soul assumptions at long range to pick off supports, which I think is another big reason. You know, besides the familiars, his soul assumption just gives so much damage that you might not otherwise be able to get onto squishy supports. It makes it impossible to pick something like Crystal Maiden, Lena. I guess I shouldn't say impossible, but it makes it much harder to keep them alive in the fights. And you don't really want to have to focus Visage down, especially because the familiars don't die with him. They will still be there after the fight. And the Gravekeeper's Cloak gives you another reason not to focus him down until those charges are used up. Queen of Pain is a very, very common ban against Orange. Mushi plays probably the most ferocious Queen of Pain in all of the Dota world. Probably. it's always hard to justify statements like that, because what metric are you going by? But nevertheless, he is very well known for his Queen of Pain, and in both this game and the previous game, LGD International have banned the Quap of Pain out, making sure that Mushi's not picking it up. A little bit of a mirror pick as opposed to last game, with Orange picking up the Sand King this time. Brax did a pretty good job on Sand King last game. And LGD International also picking up the Clockwork, which ohaiyo was playing last game. I don't think ohaiyo really ever got the hooks that he wanted. There were a couple missed hooks. They hit creeps at crucial times.
Crystal Maiden.
And a Crystal Maiden. Very interesting. But I don't feel like ohaiyo really ever got to where he wanted to be as that Sand King, making plays happen. Because if you get the Blink Dagger in good time, or not the Blink Dagger. I'm looking at Sand King and having a bit of a Freudian slip here. If you get level 6 in good time, you can really make plays happen for your team. But with the solo mid Alchemist, I think Alchemist was a little too hard to gank. Orange had 2 failed ganks on middle. They were not able to pick up G, and in the second one, they actually gave up kills instead. And I think that's a reflection of Alchemist is just so hard to kill when he has that Chemical Rage on. So I think also because the LGD International were playing as 5 for most of the game, there were no easy pickoffs, there were no easy initiations. So Clockwork was not put to as much use as they really wanted in that last game. Crystal Maiden pickup is very interesting. He's definitely been seeing more play thanks to the 6.78 buff, and the buff was fairly minor. There were some adjustments to her ult, particularly the Aghanim's ult now deals the explosion radius is larger and the attack speed slow is much larger. Crystal Maiden's never gonna shouldn't say never, but almost never gonna get an Aghanim's in a professional game, so that's not too relevant. That's more for pub play. The big one was increasing the base mana regeneration from 0.5 to 1 at level 1, which really is that's a big bump, especially for Crystal Maiden, because she gets double mana for herself, so that means she's getting 2 mana regeneration for basically the entire game. Some teams choose to max out the aura, some teams only get 1 level, and that change definitely favors the types of players that go for just 1 level, because that extra 1 mana regen is always going to be useful, and it's really good for mana hungry heroes like Darkseer and Clockwork. It means that they aren't as pressured into getting mana regeneration items as they might otherwise be. Crystal Maiden's weakness is outside of the laning phase. She's really easy to kill. Her base movement speed is 280. Very, very slow. And she doesn't offer a lot if she doesn't get some basic HP items up to prevent her from getting bursted down. And that Visage is going to be a problem for her this game. So is the Sand King, so is the Windrunner. They're all reliable sources of damage, from the Epicenter to the Power Shot to the Soul Assumption. Crystal Maiden's going to have a hard time living in this game. LGD finishes out their lineup with an Earthshaker. I don't know. Oh, I guess we'll really have to see. In my mind, Earthshaker is a bit of a counter pick, especially his buffs in 6.78 were buffs to him as a counter pick. Illusions now take damage from Echo Slam as full heroes.
10 seconds remaining.
Meaning the Echo Slams in almost every game are going to be a lot larger.
5 seconds.
But makes him very desirable against carries that naturally get Manta Style or that generate illusions. So Chaos Knight, Phantom Lancer, Manta Style carriers like Drow Ranger, Luna. Gyrocopter, he sometimes gets Manta Style, but I'm willing to bet you that as a result of the Earthshaker pick, he probably won't go that route. Now, Gyro in the last game for LG International did not get a Manta Style. He went from Monkey King Bar into Satanic. And I think the Manta Style pickup is more of a niche pick. I also want to point out, there's no Lone Druid in this game. And that's definitely a result of 6.78. With the armlet no longer working, and with the bounty increase from 100 to Outworld Destroyer. Very interesting. And I thought Mushi was going to be on that one for sure. No Lone Druid. That's what the armlet... I hesitate to call it a nerf because it's a bug fix, making armlet now actually activate HP drain on the bear. But much more important than that was increasing the bounty from 100 to 300 on the bear. That's so much gold. 300 gold is a lot. That's basically a hero kill every time the bear dies, and even the best players are not going to be able to keep the bear alive a lot, and that means you're going to be giving up anywhere from 1,200 to over 2,000 gold in a given game by mere nature of having that bear. So the lineups overall, Orange, there's so much damage from so many different sources. They have good stuns, very reliable stuns. Sorry, a little bit of interface lag here. I'm gonna pause here and try and resolve this because I don't want to be dealing. Let's see, watching the stream here. I guess it's okay. I don't know that there's anything I can do about it. Check my settings real quick. Yeah, everything's at low, so I think we're just gonna have to go with it. Alright. So Orange, lots of DPS from a lot of different sources. This OD mid is going to be very powerful, especially if that's a solo mid alchemist, and that's where paijkatt's heading. So I'll run through the lineups before any action happens. For Orange, Net will be playing Sand King, kyxy, on Gyrocopter and Xtinct on Visage, and it looks like they're heading towards an aggressive tri-lane, which this will be a very strong aggressive tri-lane. They have a lot of damage, a lot of easy ways to rack up the soul counters, and make for strong soul assumptions. ohaiyo, he'll be solo down in this safe lane as Windrunner. It does appear that he will be up against an aggressive tri-lane. LG International, they've got 1437 playing that Crystal Maiden, Brax on Earthshaker, and G on Darkseer in this aggressive tri-lane versus that Windrunner. So I'll be curious to see how that plays out. paijkatt playing Alchemist in solo mid, and Misery up in the safe lane as Clockwork. So an interesting setup here. I've seen a couple of these dual aggressive lanes versus. It's interesting that like the Clockwork and Windrunner are both traditional off-lane heroes, but now they're both in the safe lane up against aggressive tri-lanes, and I think both of them should be able to survive. Particularly Misery. The cogs will keep him relatively safe. The only concern I have is that both Xtinct and kyxy are ranged heroes. There's a lot of ways to get damage onto Misery, regardless of the cogs. Net will have trouble landing a good bro strike, but it's really going to come down to play more than anything else. And Net may even rotate, which is what he's doing right now.
Radiant's bottom tower
So ohaiyo does have to be careful. This is a very powerful aggressive tri-lane from LG International. Multiple stuns, lots of long-range damage, and Windrunner is not particularly good at handling creeps underneath the tower.
Bottom tower is under
She's
attack.
very low HP, and then as soon as she starts tanking the creeps, she'll eat a Fissure, Crystal Nova, not to mention the Ion Shell damage. And so this tower is likely to fall within the next 1 to 2 minutes. A smoke is popped on 1437 and Brax. They may head towards mid, which could be a problem for Mushi. Especially, Paijkatt has both Unstable Concoction and Acid Spray at the moment. They're approaching. One good Fissure here. 1437 comes out. He lands the Crystal Nova. Oh! Oh, but the Astral Imprisonment was off cooldown. So he didn't dodge the stun, but that's okay. Because he's got, I think, if he had less stats than he did, he might have gone down there. And so that's a lot of wasted time from LGD International. They will send Earthshaker and Crystal Maiden up to top, leaving Darkseer solo up against Windrunner. Still favors Darkseer by a fair amount, but Windrunner should be able to do okay. She has the ability to take out the Ion Shelled creeps with the Power Shot and her own auto attacks. Actually picking up... No, she's just waiting on her second skill. I was about to say she picked up stats, but that is not the case. So Windrunner will do okay here. Definitely better than she would have against the aggressive tri-lane. So for the moment, LG International, they've got their two supports roaming, and I don't know how much they're going to be able to accomplish. With that great movement speed on Outworld Destroyer, with all of the... He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 6 in stats right now, as well as the bottle. So he's... His HP is really quite nice. And I think as this game, this lane goes forward, Paijkatt's going to have a lot of trouble. Alchemist, he needs his intelligence in order to keep casting his spells. But he's never going to have it as long as Mushi continually casts that Astral Imprisonment. So I don't expect a kill either way, but Mushi should be winning this lane, particularly as time goes on. So with a now defensive tri-lane versus an aggressive tri-lane, it's kind of hard to say. Misery, he may get caught out here. He's going to eat the Burrow Strike, followed up by the Rocket Barrage. Can he get the cogs off? But it looks like... Oh, there's the Soul Assumption to finish off Misery for the first blood, going towards Xtinct. So I wasn't sure what happened with the first Soul Assumption, but regardless... Misery getting a little too ballsy there, going for the outpost when he really didn't need to. And I think should have recognized that it was just too dangerous. Didn't know where Brax was, or not Brax. Net. He didn't know where Net was. Oh, there's a Fissure on the KYXY, followed by the Battery Assault. So Misery gets a return kill on KYXY. Ultimately, pretty decent. So over mid, Mushi is dominating. He is really winning this lane. 20 and 16 versus Paijkatt's 8 and 1. So he's winning this lane more than I think he even really should. And Paijkatt, oh, very nice Astral Imprisonment, disjoining the Unstable Concoction. Outworld Destroyer, Devourer even. God, I hate that name. Is a really strong pick versus Alchemist. Alchemist cannot land an Unstable Concoction. And the other thing I was going to mention is Astral Imprisonment is a great last hitting tool because you can interrupt a melee hero, especially because they're always in range for the Imprisonment. You can make sure that they're never going to be able to get the last hits that they want. In addition to not being able to cast his spells nearly as often as he would like. So as for this defensive tri-lane, I worry for them a little bit. Crystal Maiden is very easy to kill. And I think patience from Orange may really pay off here. And on top of that, in terms of what each team is getting out of this lane, you have KYXY free farming. I mean, he's 32 and 9 right now, which that's as much as G, as Darkseer, is getting down in his bottom lane, solo versus Windrunner. So he's doing a really good job at last hitting. Meanwhile, Misery, he's getting 24 and 1. He's getting his levels, but his supports are getting absolutely nothing. You have a Crystal Maiden. This is what you hate to see when you pick a Crystal Maiden. Nothing but a branch. Saving up for the boots, because if you don't have boots as Crystal Maiden, you are nothing but food for the majority of the game. Oh! There's a kill up on the top lane. 2 going in favor of Orange. Now, they do get kyxy down. The Soul Assumption does so much damage. 2 more last hits, 9 HP. Power shot, misses. Does not land. So, G teleports up. I guess it won't be wasting his time because there won't be anyone else in this lane for the time being. And he's not in any danger. So, LGD.int, they get kyxy. And Crystal Maiden, as well as Clockwork, go down for it. So Orange decides to swap up the lanes, which I think is the smart decision at this point. With kyxy being level 5, he can stand up to Darkseer, no problem. Gyrocopter is actually pretty good solo against Darkseer, if he does decide to come back. And Misery actually rotates down, which I think LG International would prefer to have Darkseer down here, because Clockwork really can't do a whole lot against a Gyrocopter. If he goes for the battery assault, he's going to eat a full rocket barrage. But there is a smoke up on 1437 in paijkatt. They may be able to find xtinct in the forest here, but they could also go for kyxy. Oh, and he doesn't. He actually decides to pick up a belt of giant strength, and he's just going to eat all that damage. He gets the call down off, but does not matter. I thought for a second that he was aware of the gank and that he was going to the outpost to pick up a TP and TP out, in which circumstance he might have lived, but instead he was just getting the belt of strength.
Haste.
Since he's building towards his treads, and did not save him. So good rotation from LGD International. That smoke really working out for them. They do need to get somebody up in this top lane as soon as possible, though. Ohaiyo is now level 7. I want to bet there's not a big XP advantage. Level 8 now, actually. Oh, there's the Unstable Concoction charging up on paijkatt. There's a freeze onto Net, followed by the hookshot and the Unstable Concoction. So Net taken out with relative ease. Teleport down from Ohaiyo. So they're now 3 down here for Orange. And LGD, nice shackle. That could save them in this circumstance, but a very delayed call down before they leave. And so kyxy drops. xtinct has a 4-charge Soul Assumption. Who's he going to use it on? Another nice shackle from Ohaiyo. Sorry, I've got a bit of a freeze here. Oh, no. This is a crash. I believe this is a crash. Alright, I'll get back in the game momentarily. I may have to go back to restarting after every replay. God damn it. I think I'm just gonna have to close the Chrome window because that's consuming a lot of memory at this point. I don't know how Chrome consumes so much memory. Okay. I'll get back into the game in just a second here. Alright.
Crystal Maiden.
Earth Shaker here.
Okay, I'll track this based on Ohio's levels. Nope, nope, nope. We need to keep her selected. Nope, keep her selected. Okay. Wait. Okay, we're back in the game. Okay. There's the hook shot onto net. Net pops. So there are now 4 down here for LGD International. This is actually running a lot smoother, so I guess I can't run Chrome in the background. With the teleport down from Ohio, he gets a shackle onto G in Misery. And paijkatt's charging up his unstable concoction. It lands on kyxy. And G goes in with the vacuum, finishes off kyxy, no problem. Xtinct soul counters are charging up. All the while, though, G lands a nice 3-man Sanity's Eclipse, deals a lot of damage to paijkatt. And net, he lands the Burrow Strike. So overextension from LGD International. They do get kyxy, but ultimately, Mushi is just as hard to carry as Gyrocopter, and getting him kills is fantastic.
Radiant's bottom tower.
So really nice play, especially from the shackles. The shackles from Ohio made that fight work out very well for Orange.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So hookshot's back up on Misery. They may look to dive this tower. The net
Bottom
net
tower
denies it.
has been denied.
I think LGD was looking to stop that, but not in time. So in terms of last hits,
Radiant's
G's
middle
leading the
tower
way
is
at
under
66. No surprise, given that he's a solo lane Darkseer, 1v1 up against a Windrunner. No way to stop him from farming. And he's lived through these last 2 fights. Although there's a Burrow Strike followed by the call down. He's eating so much damage from the Rocket Barrage. Cannot get out in time though. Really nice play from Orange. I think overextension by G, he was feeling very farmed, and when you've got all those levels on Darkseer, a level 2 Surge is very strong. Although there's a hook shot onto Ohio with a battery assault. Ohio's eating so much damage. Pops the Windrun, might be able to get away, and she is. Nice use of the familiars here to stop paijkatt from being able to get in range for the unstable concoction, and as a result, he'll actually eat a lot of damage
Dire's
from
middle
Ohio.
tower
Has
is
to be
under
careful though.
attack.
Net wants to Burrow Strike.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Are they going to be able to find anybody? paijkatt's charging up the unstable concoction once more. But there's the shackle with the Burrow Strike. He's going to eat his own concoction, and as a result, he's going to die. Xtinct picks up the kill with his familiars. Net is now trapped inside the cogs, though, not able to Burrow Strike in time. Call down on top of Misery. Ohio finishes off the Crystal Maiden with a power shot, and the Rocket Barrage from kyxy gets him a double kill. It's a very nice play from Orange. That was a 4-for-1, losing only net. And they're happy to give up a Sand King for 4 kills, particularly on that Alchemist. And Alchemist is the only late game hope for LGD International here. Their team fight is fantastic, but honestly, I think that the team fight is not going to be that great once kyxy picks up a BKB, which he's going to. Almost guaranteed. So more fantastic shackles, and I think these reliable long-range stuns are a problem for paijkatt. There's the familiars, there's the shackles, and the burrow strike. I mean, honestly, the burrow strike is probably the least relevant in those in terms of his concoction, but he's not anywhere near a BKB or a Shadow Blade, which are the only ways that he's going to be able to consistently get an unstable concoction off. And I think this is kind of why people didn't used to play Alchemist. Shackle doesn't land. Good Fisher stops kyxy from getting closer. Doesn't land the call down. Although Mushi comes in from behind. There's the epicenter from net, and G drops instantly. They needed. Wow! Sanity's Eclipse on 3. Blown apart. 4 for 1. And paijkatt, he's going to go down. No problem here. Finished off with the Soul Assumption, and there's a teleport in. Oh, good thing that. So a wasted buyback from brax and a TP as well. So that's actually a very costly buyback for him. I think he was hoping to get back in time to save paijkatt, but there was no such chance. It was a 5 for 1 at that point. But that's Sanity's Eclipse from Mushi. Outward Destroyer is a fantastic snowball hero. Mushi's really excellent on these snowball heroes. That's one of the reasons that I mentioned before. He's really good at Queen of Pain. Getting a level advantage on Outworld Devourer means your Sanity's Eclipse is dealing so much damage. It's insane. But on top of that, getting he's a very level dependent hero in that getting max Essence Aura is important for his mana pool. Once he's level 12 or 13, he can continually cast his Arcane Orb. Meaning his auto attack damage is fantastic. And it's long before anybody's picked up a BKB, so there's no way to stop it. It's pure damage. So I think this Outworld Destroyer pick is working very nicely for Orange, and I think this Alchemist pick is really a problem. Because they sent the Alchemist mid, it means that he has no points in Grievel's Greed, and that normal farm advantage that you can expect from an Alchemist is nowhere to be seen. Which is why he's actually 27-1. That's terrifyingly bad. That's unacceptable. And there's a chain stun from the familiars, followed up by the burrow strike and the rocket barrage. G goes down. The most farmed hero on LGD International is getting stomped. And that's those familiars making those kills happen. If G had been able to get a surge off, then it might be a different story. And look, this is a huge difference. Almost close to 12,000 experience difference at 15 minutes in, and a 10,000 experience lead. Holy crap. This is huge. And I don't see a way out for LG International. Because they only have this Alchemist who is absurdly underfarmed. And they've got a Crystal Maiden and an Earthshaker who are both going to be very underfarmed. They spent much of the early game roaming, which they had to. They could have stayed at bottom lane. Oh, there's a hookshot. Misery wanted to find a kill on kyxy, but he's finished off with the Soul Assumption from Xtinct. And brax, chain stunned by the familiars. And LGD.int, they call the GG, which I think is very reasonable. It's a 15-minute GG, which that might be the earliest I've seen in a pro game. At least recently. I'm sure there's been some 10 or 12 minutes, but especially from Virtus Pro, they tend to do that. But wow, I think LGD International was just completely outpicked. There was no way that LGD could run their lanes that would have worked out better for them, which is why there was so much roaming and rotation without resulting in kills. They tried to gank Mushi, but to no avail. He had too much HP, and he still had the Astral Imprisonment to save him. So I think that was a strong case of being outdrafted.